Okay, so first off, I want to make sure that my mode is set to manual, so we are controlling the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO. I'm going to go ahead and set my ISO to 100. That's where I usually like to start off, because if you remember, the lower your ISO is, the less grain and noise you're going to have. So that's kind of my go-to. And I'm going to go ahead and set my shutter speed to 1/25th of a second, since we're hand holding and not using a tripod. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the white bag. So when I look through, and I am making sure that the bag is that I'm close enough or zoomed in enough so the entire bag is all there is in my photo. Okay, so I'm looking through, and right now I have, the meter is saying I have way too much light going on. So I need to change my settings so there's less light. So one way to do that is with shutter speed or aperture. So right now my aperture is set at 5.6. And so I'm going to make that a smaller aperture. And as I'm doing that, I'm seeing my meter moving. Okay, and so for my particular camera, it looks like right in the middle is going to be at f/29. So I'm going to take a photo. And yeah, so for that one, I was at f/29, 1/125th of a second, and ISO 100. Now this isn't going to be the exact same settings for you. It's going to depend on your lighting and such. Just try to get the meter right in the middle. Now, I'm going to stay on my white bag, but this time I'm going to change the settings to my meter says I have 2 stops too much light. So I'm just going to take my aperture and make it larger until it says I have 2 stops too much light, and that's at f/11. So all I did was change my aperture. I left my ISO at 100, 1/125th of a second. Okay, let's move on to our mid-tone, which is our brown bag in this case. And it says that I am a little bit overexposed, 1 stop overexposed. So again, I'm going to change one of my settings. I'm going to go ahead and stick with that aperture. And let's make it, let's see, I need to make it smaller aperture to let less light in. So that's at f/16. It's telling me the meter is right in the middle. So here we go. All right, nice. So what's going on is that the midtones, that's what, around where our meter wants us to be all the time. With the white bag, we did the midtone, but it's too dark because it's white. But the meter doesn't know it's a white object. It's just trying to give us a light reading based off of that 18% gray. So now we're going to photograph the black bag, and we're going to do the same thing. First, I'm going to get the meter right in the middle where it says it should be, and then I'm going to underexpose by 2 stops. All right. Okay, so right now it's telling me it's way too dark, so I'm going to open up my aperture using a larger aperture until my meter says we're right at 0. Oh, and I maxed it out. So with this lens, I can only go to f5.6, and I went there, and there's still not enough light according to the meter. So what else can we do? We need to change the shutter speed or the ISO. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and go a little bit slower on my shutter speed. And I'm out at 1/60th of a second, and it's telling me I have a good meter reading. I'm right at 0. Okay, so that's the meter telling me that that's the settings to get that 18% type of reading, but this is a black bag, so we actually want to underexpose by 2 stops. So I'm going to again change my shutter speed until we get to that -2 reading. All right, and it says at 1/200th of a second, we're good at -2 reading. And there's the photo. Okay, fun stuff. So now I'm gonna go ahead and move all this to the shade and do it again.